President Samia Suluhu Hassan may now be counted among the worst performing presidents in modern Africa, at least according to the fury burning across Tanzania tonight. She's trending everywhere. Her name now whispered along those of once feared dictators: Idi Amin Dada of Uganda, Jean-Bédel Bokassa of the Central Republic Africa, Mobutu Sese Seko of Zaire, and Mengistu Haile Mariam of Ethiopia.
Niwaombe tokeni mwende mkapige kura. Ninayeongea hapa ni Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa nchi hii.
October 29th, 2025. This is a date that has already written itself in fire and smoke. On this morning, President Samia arrived at her polling station in Dar es Salaam, calm and smiling, dressed in her trademark hijab and soft smile. She called upon Tanzanians to exercise their democratic right to vote. But to millions of Gen Z voters watching, it felt like an empty ritual, an election already decided before dawn.
Kama unavyoona, hii ni hadi ya magari ya Mwigulu Mchemba ya Esther. Yote watu wameyateketeza moto.
In the hours that followed, Tanzania began to unravel. Youth groups across Arusha, Mwanza, Mbeya and Dodoma took to the streets. They claimed ballot boxes had arrived already marked, their candidates mysteriously disqualified, and the internet connection rotted by the state.
Kituo vyote kini kituo cha sita tunateketeza mama zako Samia, kuma mama zako Samia, senga kwa mama zako nyinyi hapa matako wewe mama.
Videos flooded TikTok and X. Young men touching a lorry allegedly ferrying marked ballot papers. Others set ablaze the car yard of the finance minister in fury, accusing the government of stealing their voices and their future. The police responded with live bullets, sirens wailed, tear gas filled the sky. Tanzania, the once quiet jewel of East Africa, was now in flames. You call the Gen Z the born-free generation, the children of the digital age, born after the single-party years, raised on smartphones and YouTube documentaries about corruption, dictatorship and stolen revolutions. And now, they stand face to face with the government that promised freedom, development and equality. But what they see instead are skyrocketing prices, youth unemployment and censorship of voices online. Hashtag Samia out trends for the first time in Tanzanian history. University students march carrying placards reading, "We are not your statistics. Tumechoka, we are tired. No stolen votes."
Vituo vyote kini kituo cha sita tunateketeza mama zako Samia, kuma mama zako Samia, senga kwa mama zako nyinyi hapa matako wewe
The government responds by calling it an act of hooliganism. Police are deployed across all major cities. The army patrols the streets of Dodoma, and opposition leaders are arrested. By evening, internet access is cut off. WhatsApp, TikTok and X vanish into digital darkness. The official statement from the Ministry of Information says the government will not allow enemies of peace to destabilize our democracy. But for many, that phrase has lost meaning because Tanzanians' democracy, they say, it has already been stabbed in the back. Samia Suluhu Hassan was once celebrated as East Africa's first female president, a symbol of calm, diplomacy and reform. Samia Suluhu's image is now collapsing. Her early promises of rebuilding Magufuli's fractured legacy are buried under accusations of nepotism, media intimidation and corruption at high offices. In Zanzibar, fishermen block highways. In Morogoro, farmers ban campaign placards, shouting this election was never ours. Opposition figures such as Tundu Lissu calls for international intervention, but government spokesmen call him a foreign puppet. It feels like a deja vu. Echoes of Mugabe's Zimbabwe or Museveni's Uganda. A democracy slowly is suffocating under the weight of fear and control. The night falls and Tanzania burns. The shadows of youth clash with armored vehicles in Dar es Salaam. Shops are looted and security officers barricade entire streets. Journalists are detained. Foreign media are expelled. The world watches, silent, hesitant. The African Union calls for calm. The United Nations expresses concern. But the youth of Tanzania are beyond concern. They are demanding their rebirth. And so Tanzania stands at a crossroads. One path leads to reform, to dialogue, to justice, to truth. And the other path, it leads to the abyss of tyranny and endless unrest. President Samia Suluhu Hassan once stood for peace, but now she faces a generation that refuses to be silenced. And as the first rise into the Tanzanian night, one question echoes across the continent. Is this the end of Suluhu's calm rule or the beginning of a new African awakening? This is the Lyon TV Files.